gunfires and a teacher running in and couldn't get in because it was locked down.
At 4:10 this afternoon, Lubbock police got a call about multiple shots fired at Willow Bend Elementary School.
When we arrived, we immediately secured a perimeter around the school and started to prepare for an active shooter situation. As the investigation began to unfold, we heard shots fired to the north and the west of the school. We immediately responded to the field in that area and found 5 individuals armed in that area. They were immediately taken into custody without incident.
LPD believes that those 5 people were hunters, hunting dove in the open field next to the school.
We do not believe that the school was a target or that any of the people here were targeted.
The shots were fired off campus, back over here where you see the police officers. They were fired off campus, but the pellets landed over here really close on school grounds and actually hit a teacher and a mother. But luckily, they did not require any medical attention.
Obviously, that was a very scary and dangerous situation for her, so that is what really prompted all of this.
Melanie Kanabe says this could have been avoided.
Because yesterday we called the cops and told them there was guys over in the field by our house shooting, and they said it was okay, that it's legal to do, and they said call wildlife or whatever, and nothing was done.
But John just hopes it doesn't happen again.
Please don't shoot guns around schools.
Ashley Claster, Fox 34, News at 9.
I thought it was just and appropriate. I thought the judge's rulings were spot on, and we don't have anything to complain about.
Comments from Gina Roberts' attorney as her bail-jumping trial comes to a close. The jury finds her guilty, and Judge Jim Bob Darnell delivers the sentence that adds no time to what she's already serving. You'll remember Roberts pleaded guilty in November of 2012 to intoxicated assault and intoxicated manslaughter. Roberts was driving drunk when she collided with another vehicle in October of 2010, killing 54-year-old Linda Schmaltz and injuring another woman. Roberts was supposed to turn herself in back on January 7th to begin serving her 15-year prison sentence. She didn't report, however. She was arrested a couple of weeks later in a Houston hotel. Last week, Judge Darnell denied her attorney's request to move that bail-jumping trial out of Lubbock. Our Ashley Claster has been in the courtroom all week and is now here with the details. And Ashley, it didn't take too long for the jury to reach a verdict, did it?
Kurt, it took just under 30 minutes for the jury to decide that Roberts was guilty of bail jumping. During the closing statements, the prosecutor argued that not every case has a good defense. He told the jury, if I shot someone right here, 90 people would see it, but I still have the right to take it to trial. Judge Darnell gave her Thanksgiving, Christmas, and her birthday to be with family before going to jail, and she still didn't show up. Prosecutors said, quote, "We expect people to be responsible for their actions, especially when a judge was that lenient with you."
Already serving 15 years for intoxicated manslaughter, the prosecution says allowing Gina Roberts to walk away with no extra time to serve sends a bad message to the community.
The state's position is we have to provide a disincentive. We have to provide a motivation for people that abscond to know that there's going to be a punishment when they do.
One of the arresting LPD officers took the stand, telling the court when Roberts found out she killed someone, she said, quote, "It was God's plan. It was her time to die." Judge Jim Bob Darnell told Roberts one thing before delivering her sentence. God spared your life. Figure out why. Hopefully you can have a positive influence on someone someday. Judge Darnell sentenced Roberts to 7 years in prison to be served concurrently with her other sentence. Her attorney, Robert Scandino, says that while they lost, he thinks it went well.
I thought we got a fair trial. Frankly, the judge was the most articulate person in the courtroom. I thought his sentencing was spot on. I thought he articulated exactly what had happened and what needs to happen.
The defense argues that her dad convinced Roberts not to show up for her sentence. They claim his signature was on the hotel bill. He was supposed to take the stand today and was subpoenaed to be there, but chose not to testify.
Well, he's her father. And I thought it was obvious what happened, but he made a decision, and it's his, so that's what he chose to do.
I asked a prosecutor if they intend to pursue any charges against Gina Roberts' dad, like accomplished charge or anything like that. And he said they need to figure out who has jurisdiction, Lubbock or Houston. And if Lubbock does have jurisdiction and they have enough evidence to claim probable cause, then yes, they will file charges.
Okay, now actually the 7-year sentence we're talking about, is that added on top of the original 15 years or does she serve those at the same time?
Judge Darnell gave her 7 years to be served concurrently at the same time as her 15-year sentence. So she's already going to be in jail for those 7 years anyways. And but now it counts as her bail jumping punishment too. Actually, she isn't eligible for parole until she's served half of her sentence, so that's 7.5 years. So it is possible that she could serve that minimum time and then be released.
All right, so there won't be any additional time tacked on, right?
Right.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Ashley Claster.
You can't let it get to you.
13 years ago, Kevin Taylor broke his leg, then contracted a nerve disorder called RSD, or reflex sympathetic dystrophy.
I didn't really think much about it. I was, strong.
Within probably 10 years, he was in the hospital at least once a month.
Doctors told Kevin he was the worst case of RSD that they had ever seen. So in 2009, they amputated Kevin's leg, leaving him bound to a wheelchair.
And the most remarkable thing about Kevin, all that he's dealt with, he never complains.
The way I look at it, it could always be worse.
But last October, Kevin's life changed in one split second when he met his fiancée, Kim Didway.
Walked in, he turned and had grin from ear to ear, and it was an instant connection.
The first time I saw her, it was love at first sight.
Kevin's wheelchair didn't matter. They fell in love.
Him being in a wheelchair never fazed her one bit.
I don't see the wheelchair at all. I never have.
She looks at me as I'm not in a wheelchair. I mean, she looks past that point.
It doesn't bother me because it's the person inside, not who they are physically. And his heart makes up for any lack of limb that he has.
So they are getting married at Caprock Winery.
He's the most amazing human being I've ever met in my entire life.
But what the bride doesn't know is that Kevin has been going behind her back and taking physical therapy lessons and actually learned how to walk. So today at their wedding, he's going to stand up and walk her down the aisle.
Whenever the preacher says, everybody please stand, I'm going to stand up. My groomsman is going to take my wheelchair from me. I'm going to walk to her.
It was just like love was the medicine he needed.
With Kim as his medicine, he's gained the strength to learn to walk.
And I'm going to make it the best day of her life.
I just saw him walk for the first time ever. And I'm blown away. I about fell over backwards. I honestly did.
From there on I'm going to be out of this wheelchair.
Proof that unconditional love can make miracles happen.
Nothing has stopped him before, but now that he's walking, there's nothing that's going to stop him. Nothing.
The lesson? Be positive, love often, and make every day count.
Live every minute of every day like it's your last day.
Ashley Claster, Fox 34, News at 9.
I'll seek some more local coffee shops instead of the chains.
Steve Burns was a Starbucks customer until today.
In many parts of the country, they'll hear that their customers are happy with that decision. I don't think that's going to happen in Lubbock, Texas.
The owner of LSG Tactical Arms thinks that Starbucks is making a big mistake.
For one, I'm disappointed in Starbucks. As everybody is, I enjoy their product.
Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz with this request that is reverberating in states where concealed carry is the law of the land.
We are respectfully asking our customers who are carrying a gun not to bring them into a Starbucks store.
If you've got a license to carry a pistol, they don't have a right to tell you not to bring it in here. Now, they can express their desire. I don't have any problem with that if they're not too rough about it.
But Schultz says Starbucks isn't choosing sides.
Starbucks is not a policymaker, and that we are not pro or anti-gun. We just believe that our customers and our people will be much more comfortable if guns are not part of the Starbucks experience.
Disappointed that they're trying to play both sides of the issue on this one. You know, it's kind of like you support the Constitution or you don't support the Constitution. There's not much gray area in that, and they're trying to make it a gray area.
The Seattle-based company says it does not want to put its franchise partners in the uncomfortable position of enforcing this request, but they are being clear that weapons are not welcome in their stores.
I know personally it's going to affect me because I just will not go somewhere where I'm not welcome.
Businesses do have a right to ban firearms on their premises. To actually do that, Starbucks would have to post a 30-06 sign on its door, which there's no plan to do.
That's perfectly within their rights, but it's also within all of the rights of, you know, good, honest, legal gun owners in America not to patronize their store any longer.
And as long as it's concealed and you have a license for it, I mean, that's why it exists, right?
I guess if you're legally licensed to carry a gun, you should be able to bring it in.
We spent an hour and a half surveying Starbucks customers about the policy and couldn't find a single person that supports the anti-gun stance.
Yes, I'm against the policy.
So, in a city where people take pride in getting their guns up, it looks like Lubbock just isn't a fan of this one. Ashley Claster, Fox 34, News at 9.
And so the boy climbed up the tree and gathered her apples and carried them away. And the tree was happy.
Every once in a while, you come across someone pretty special.
I just really like to help people. Whenever somebody's sad, I always go over and try to make them feel better.
9-year-old Addie Blue Short decided she wants to do something incredible.
I'm doing something called the African Library Project, and it's where I collect 1,000 gently used children's books and raise enough money for shipping, I can send a whole library to children in Africa.
It's kind of like you want to do what, but you can't really tell your child no if she wants to do something like that.
Her mom, Tiffany Short, says Addie Blue decided to send her first library to Botswana. The third grader was shocked when she found out there are no libraries and over half of the children don't know how to read.
The kids, they have to work. Most of them don't even get to go to school because their parents die from AIDS and they have to take care of their younger brothers and sisters. And so I think whenever they get all that work done, they can just sit down and read a book and they can be able to go somewhere else with no struggling and no worries.
She's almost collected enough books for 2 libraries and is about to start her third.
We have to send them in English because if they learn the English language, then they will be able to get a good job and go to college and better school like that.
Addie Blue already has 1,600 books just in her living room. Now what she really needs is money to ship them off.
And we're still asking for books, but we need donations. We're doing little fundraising things. She's made bookmarks and necklaces and, you know, small things to try and help, but donations for shipping. I set her up a little page on the internet.
The first library will go to a primary school called Makolo. And once the books arrive, Peace Corps volunteers will set up the library and train the librarian.
I think this whole thing is born out of her love for reading. It's amazing to me.
It sort of takes me into a different world, so I just think that every kid deserves a book.
It's a lesson in kindness and giving that we could all learn from a little girl who has a lot of books and a lot of heart. Ashley Claster, Fox 34, News at 9.
I'm going to do my vowels.
Imagine a place where children with learning disabilities, like dyslexia or ADHD, can really learn and have fun at the same time.
And really, we call it a learning disability, it's a learning difference. The only thing that makes it a disability is that it's not the majority.
It's called the Institute for Creative Learners. It's staffed by licensed dyslexia therapists who are able to tailor the teaching method to the child rather than the child adjusting to the education.
So rather than a classroom teacher with 30 students having to spend 6 months to figure out this child is having difficulty with, say, the long E, we know immediately, and we can provide individualized instruction to that one child on that one issue and let them progress.
I feel different at school because it's like when I go over some stuff and it's like all noisy, tapping pencils and everything, and when I come here it's just all quiet and calm and I like concentrate more.
5th grader Nathan Mins says since starting the after-school program, his grades have dramatically improved.
I'm prepared for my test and I'm like, Nate, you can do this. And so when I get my test back, it's like 100, 95, and I'm like, wow, it really helps me.
Here I get a little bit more help than at school.
4th grader Emma Condra struggles with big class sizes and generic lesson plans.
I don't really understand it whenever they explain it, but here I really understand and they kind of bring it out to me, and then I get higher and better in school.
Very, very hands-on, much more than school. He just gets it here.
Erin Lucio brought her son Nicholas here. He has dyslexia. She is impressed by how much the teachers motivate him.
At his age, there's nowhere to go. You don't know where to take him, what to do, who to call. You know there's a problem, but you don't know where to go. This is it.
The kids do 30 minutes of homework, 30 minutes of art or science, and then an hour of one-on-one instruction. And that is hands-on learning.
We want them to have fun and not even know they're learning. And that's what's happening.
Transforming an abortion clinic into a learning center will take some time. The 67th Street Clinic is in horrible condition, dilapidated, unsanitary, and hazardous.
Needs a lot of work to make it a suitable place for children. But if you just imagine, you can even hear them laughing now. And you can see what this place can be, and we need help.
A building with untapped potential for success. A place where children can explore their unique, creative gifts. Turning this venue with a controversial past into something magical. Ashley Claster, Fox 34, News at 9. Raider Red has been a staple at Texas Tech since 1971.
Jim Gaspard, who was a saddle tramp back in 1971, had this idea to use Raider Red. It was a cartoon character that was in the Lubbock AJ for many years, drawn by Dirk West.
Not only the mascot for the university, but a symbol for Lubbock, too.
It goes to a lot of elementary schools, community events, businesses, their luncheons, all sorts of stuff, as well as all the athletic events that we cover.
And I think he represents what we feel about Tech, the integrity, the pride, the honor.
And now he's here to prove he is the #1 mascot in the nation, again.
We are trying to repeat as the national champion mascot of the year. This guy. We were #1 last year. We've made it to the finals this year. We want to win again. Isn't that right?
All right, Raider Red, you are the reigning national champion. Do you think you are going to defend your title this year? So, do you want students to vote?
He's just a great representation of our tradition. Colorful and cute. He just kind of gets your attention.
And he looks pretty funny.
Yeah. Why does he look funny?
Oh, because he has that giant head and that mustache. It looks funny.
I like Raider Red because ESPN said he's the best, and because Cliff Kingsbury said he has swag.
There's no contest anymore.
It's
Raider
unfair.
Red hands down.
Big mustache. He represents masculinity.
He's really unique. Yeah. Who else has the mustache and the guns and weapons? And
he's just fun to watch. I especially like it when he rubs his mustache.
He'll go like in the crowd and like do stuff with them. He's really interactive.
And voting for Raider Red is easy. All you have to do is log on to CapitalOneBowl.com, find Raider Red, and click vote as many times as you want, just like Raider Red is showing you now.
And then through your social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you can use the hashtag #1RaiderRed.
We were behind a little bit to the University of Tennessee. We don't need to lose to a hound dog, do we? We need to win.
And winning doesn't just come with the title and bragging rights.
For participating in it, we get $5,000. And then that goes to the Raider Red program. And then winning it, we would get a $20,000 scholarship again. And then we really enjoyed that last year.
And you have a message for the students and all of Lubbock who should be voting.
Red is in the playoffs to be the Capital One Mascot of the Year. Now all he needs to win is your votes.
Wreck 'em! Keep those guns up.
We're behind you, Raider Red.
Wreck 'em.
A vote for Red is a vote for Tech, a vote for Lubbock, and a vote for Red Raider pride.
Guns up!
Ashley Claster, Fox 34, News at 9. You might have noticed that the tree stumps on 98th and Slide are carved into different animals.
It kind of wound up being a kind of a place where they were really easily seen. I've probably done hundreds in Lubbock. I mean, a lot of carvings, but those are the ones people see the most.
Cam Dockery carved those animals using a chainsaw.
They came up with a few ideas, and I did too, and we kind of just come up with a bunch of different wildlife that we could carve there, and it turned out all right.
It all started when he chopped down a tree in front of his house.
The tree started to die, so I carved one day into a bear, and as people would drive by, they would see the carving and start ordering stuff, and it kind of took off from there.
So he started his business barely making it.
I've had a lot of calls from people seeing those, and also my website's right there beside it, but you have to be quick to see it.
Since then, he's made over 6,000 carvings.
It's very dangerous. I mean, and it's loud, and I can't hear very well anymore.
Plus, he's got two of the cutest assistants you've ever seen.
They help me all the time. They're very handy. They pick up wood chips and haul, wood around, and they do a little bit of painting, which one of those things I told them when they could learn how to color really well, they can help me paint. So they are awesome colors when they were 4 years old. So
nobody else's dad works with chainsaws.
Pretty special.
Just some people.
He even made a carving for his favorite news channel in Lubbock.
Thank you. Cool.
I'm proud of them. That it's kind of a neat deal. And each one that I make, there's kind of a story behind them. I know exactly where the log comes from or the person that's getting it from me.
A stump is normally the end of the road for a tree, but for Cam Dockery, it's just the beginning of a work of art. Ashley Claster, Fox 34, News at 9.
Raymond George Box is a simple man, but he has a big talent. His friends call him RG Box, and he's an artist.
Here's my bird.
He's making a giant metal Roadrunner sculpture. Box calls him Rowdy.
He said, "How big can you make it?" I said, "How big do you want it?"
The sculpture took 1,000 hours to make, has 1,000 handcrafted feathers, and weighs in at a whopping 1,000 pounds. The Roadrunner is 6 feet tall and 10 feet long.
And just to give you an idea of how big that is, I'm 5'5" and he's 7 inches taller than I am, and almost double my size in length.
A lot of sketches, a lot of photographs, a lot of work, a lot of fun.
Box built Rowdy for the University of Texas at San Antonio. Their mascot, the Roadrunner. Rowdy will make his debut at a football game.
UTSA is playing Oklahoma State Saturday the 7th of September. That's when they'll all be there. I don't know how many thousand people are going to be there.
The process was long. He started by taking a picture of a Roadrunner in his front yard.
I took a picture of a Roadrunner and had it blown up to 12 inches tall and 2 foot long. And I put it in a overhead projector and threw it on the wall and backed the projector up till it was 6 foot tall. Then I cut a piece of paper, the outline of that wall picture, and I made what I call the backbone of the Roadrunner.
Then he started the blacksmith work.
They're all cut out individually, and then hammer to get this texture on them, one at a time.
He loves making new things, from a rose to a hip replacement, and even a custom gold coin for his favorite reporter.
That says RG Box.
Wow.
That's a touch mark.
Look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
He even made a sculpture for Willie Nelson's tour bus, the honeysuckle rose.
Then I started on the other one.
Right now, Box is working on a candelabra for St. Elizabeth's Catholic Church in Lubbock.
Yeah, they asked me to make it, yes.
A sculpture that's about to be the pride of UTSA. Knowing that it came from the heart of Lubbock makes him feel...
Oh, wonderful. Really wonderful. It's just, I don't know when I've been so excited, and I don't know when I've ever had this much fun. I've worked all my life, but this is fun.
A local artist representing Lubbock in a big way. Ashley Claster, Fox 34, News at 9.